Hey guys, tonight we're diving into something ancient, strange, and unbelievably powerful. The entire story of Greek mythology, told from the very beginning of time itself. So before you settle in, take a breath, dim the lights, and let your imagination slip into a world where gods, monsters, and mortals shaped the foundations of Western civilization. And before we begin this massive journey, tell me, where are you watching from, and what time is it for you right now? In the beginning, there was nothing but a silent, endless void the Greeks called chaos, a place with no sky, no land, and no shape, just drifting potential. From this emptiness emerged the first primordial beings, ancient forces like Gaia, the earth, Tartarus, the abyss, and Eros, the spark of creation. These beings weren't gods, as we imagine, but raw cosmic powers shaping the universe without purpose or form. Gaia, the Earth Mother, rose from chaos, with the weight of mountains, oceans, and forests resting inside her future shape. She brought forth Uranus, the sky itself, who stretched over her like a glittering dome filled with stars. Their union began the first true creation, giving birth to beings far more powerful and terrifying than any Olympian god. The eldest children were the Titans, vast beings who represented mountains, oceans, and time itself. But along with them were darker creations, the Cyclopes, with their single blazing eye, and the Hecatomans, monsters with 100 hands. Uranus feared these strange children and buried them deep inside Gaia, a betrayal that twisted creation toward violence. The pain and fury inside Gaia grew until she forged a great adamantine sickle and begged one of her Titan sons to stop Uranus. Only Kronos, the Titan of time, stepped forward with cold determination, ready to overturn the sky itself. In a single moment of cosmic rebellion, he struck Uranus down, and the sky was torn open with the first divine blood. From that shattered blood came new beings, the Furies, the giants, and even Aphrodite, born from the sea's foam. The world was reshaped by this violent act, and Kronos became ruler of the universe as the old order collapsed. But the prophecy of betrayal lingered, because the one who overthrows a king often becomes the next to fall. Kronos, now king, ruled the Golden Age, a world without suffering, hunger, or war, where humans lived like children under a gentle sun. Yet, despite peace, Kronos was haunted by the same fear that ruined Uranus, the fear that his children would rise against him. So he swallowed each newborn whole, trapping gods inside his stomach before they could speak their first word. Gaia could not watch another cycle of cruelty, so she hid one final child, Zeus, the youngest Olympian. He was raised in secret on the island of Crete, fed by divine milk and protected by warriors who drowned his cries with clashing shields. When he grew strong, he returned not as a child, but as a storm waiting to break across the world. With cleverness and courage, Zeus freed his swallowed siblings, and together they formed the first true pantheon of Greek gods. This was no quiet rebellion, but the beginning of a cosmic war that would reshape mountains and split the heavens. The age of Titans was ending, and the age of the Olympians was about to begin. The newborn Olympians emerged into a universe still trembling with leftover chaos from ancient wars and broken cosmic laws. Even the light that washed over the world was uneven, flickering between the Titan Age and the New Age taking shape. Zeus understood that, before ruling the cosmos, he first had to understand the forces that existed long before gods had names. Far beneath the earth, Tartarus stirred like a living pit, a realm older than Gaia and deeper than any mortal nightmare. This abyss was filled with entities so ancient they barely had form, drifting like shadows left over from the first creation. The Olympians feared Tartarus because it represented everything uncontrollable, everything untouched by divine order. Above the heavens, Nyx, the primordial goddess of night, moved silently with her cloak of endless darkness. Even Zeus respected her, for she was born from chaos itself and could unravel the world with a single whisper. Her children, sleep, death, and the fates, reminded the gods that some powers could never be dominated. Gaia continued to shape countenance, pushing mountains upward and carving deep valleys as if sculpting her own body. Rivers found their paths, oceans settled into basins, and forests spread across her surface like living breath. Everything she created balanced the expanding universe, keeping both divine and mortal realms firmly grounded. But the memory of Uranus's fall lingered in the land, echoing through storms, earthquakes, and shifting stones. Gaia knew the universe still carried scars from that first rebellion, cracks between worlds that could widen again. She feared that conflict was not a mistake, but a built-in rhythm of existence, a cycle destined to repeat. Kronos' defeat did not erase his influence. Time itself still flowed according to his ancient principles. Even imprisoned, his presence shaped the world through seasons, cycles, and the slow erosion of all things. The gods could rule hearts and skies, but they could never escape the quiet march of their father. Around the edges of the cosmos, the primordial waters of Oceanus continued to swirl like a giant river encircling creation. This boundary separated the known world from a realm of shapeless possibility, a reminder that creation was unfinished. Where Oceanus flowed, new mysteries were born, islands rising, storms forming, and creatures evolving beyond divine sight. High in the celestial dome, Ether and Hemra, the spirits of light and day, guided the cycle of brightness. Their presence ensured that darkness and daylight moved in harmony, preventing the universe from sinking into chaos again. Even the gods depended on this balance, for without these primordial rhythms, the cosmos would collapse. The stars themselves carried the memories of the first wars, glowing with ancient heat left from Uranus's broken sky. Constellations marked the history of creation, each one a silent witness to battles fought long before humans existed. Through these stars, the early gods learned to read omens, predict events, and sense approaching danger. Deep beneath seas, marine deities, awakening from the Titan age, whispered stories of creatures unseen by Olympian eyes. These ancient beings remembered a time before light reached the ocean floor, when life grew in quiet, drifting shapes. The Olympians respected the sea's memory, knowing it held secrets older than their lineage. As the young gods explored the raw, unfinished world, they discovered regions untouched by order, wild, unpredictable pockets of chaos. Mountains shifted positions, forests grew overnight, and storms spiraled with no natural source or logic. These areas reminded them that creation was still a battlefield, not yet secured by law or civilization. Zeus traveled across the sky, shaping clouds and carving storms to understand the nature of his own power. Each thunderbolt he forged taught him something about balance, the danger of force, and the responsibility of control. He knew he would one day rule the heavens, but he also sensed the weight of that crown long before wearing it. Hera wandered the earth, observing early life, fascinated by the fragile creatures emerging from Gaia's soil. She understood that mortals would one day define the gods through faith, rituals, and stories. This insight planted the earliest seeds of her authority over marriage, family, and the human condition. Poseidon explored the oceans with a restless curiosity, stirring waves and sculpting underwater kingdoms. His trident could calm the sea or unleash destruction, and he struggled to balance these extremes. The waters responded to his moods, foreshadowing his future as Lord of the Deep. Hades ventured into the world beneath the earth, discovering caverns filled with glowing minerals and silent tunnels. He sensed a realm forming, not of punishment, but of order, rest, and separation from mortal life. This would become the underworld, the boundary between memory and oblivion. The Olympians realized that their powers were not just gifts, but roles woven into the fabric of existence. They were destined to become guardians of domains shaped by ancient forces: sky, sea, death, love, war, and wisdom. But destiny alone could not crown them. They still had to face the remnants of the Titan Age. Across the horizon, faint tremors signaled the unrest of imprisoned titans, their power far from extinguished. Their murmurs traveled through stone and sea, warnings that the next age would not begin peacefully. The world was preparing for a conflict that would decide the fate of both gods and creation itself. The universe stood on the edge of transformation, balancing between the old powers and the rising Olympians. Every star, every wave, and every trembling mountain hinted at the war brewing beneath the surface. The birth of the gods was complete, but the birth of their rule had not yet begun. Erebos, the spirit of shadow, drifted through the early cosmos like a slow-moving eclipse. He existed wherever light failed, filling the gaps between stars and the folds of distant worlds. Even the newborn gods felt uneasy in his presence, sensing the ancient silence he carried. As time unfolded, the first winds began to whisper across the world, driven by primordial spirits. These winds carried dust from Gaia, moisture from Oceanus, and sparks of ether. Their blending created the first weather, unpredictable, powerful, and free of divine control. The earliest volcanoes rose from Gaia's wounds, left by the ancient battles with Uranus. Lava flowed like glowing blood, shaping new landforms and releasing heat into the cold young world. These eruptions reminded all living forces that the earth was alive, restless, and still healing. Even before the Olympians grasped their roles, the universe began producing creatures shaped by nature itself. Massive beasts roamed valleys, their forms based more on primordial energy than biology. Some had wings of mist, others bodies of stone, and all existed without the need for gods. Above them, the sky's domed ceiling slowly hardened into a stable structure after millennia of chaos. Constellations settled into permanent patterns, anchoring the heavens with new cosmic logic. These star maps became the earliest hints of order in a world still learning how to exist. The rivers of the earth each carried their own personality, emerging not from rain, but from Gaia's spirit. Some flowed gently, others violently carved canyons in displays of early power. Their waters formed the veins of the world, connecting the land like a living organism. Meanwhile, the first echoes of prophecy appeared in the wind, in the stars, and in shifting earth. These were not predictions, but cosmic instincts, the universe anticipating the coming of divine conflict. Such whispers were felt most strongly by the Fates, who observed existence long before gods took interest. Deep within the underworld's earliest shadows, new regions formed without Hades shaping them. Caves opened like hollow lungs, filled with mist from forgotten Titan breaths. This realm grew naturally, preparing itself for the ruler it sensed would come. The first storms took shape high above Olympus, their thunder rolling with primitive energy. Lightning cracked across the sky, not by Zeus's will, but by ether's raw movement. Even gods would later marvel at this time, when nature acted entirely on its own. Beneath the oceans, bioluminescent plants glowed in untouched darkness, creating the first underwater landscapes. Waves pulsed with the heartbeat of Pontus, the primordial sea spirit, who guarded his realm silently. The Olympians often visited these depths just to witness the oldest forms of life. The earliest forests sprouted from Gaia's fingertips, stretching upward with ancient determination. Their roots dug deep into the earth, tapping into the same energies that created the gods themselves. These trees would later become sacred groves, places where mortals sensed the memory of creation. Time, though shaped by Chronos, began leaving traces, fossils, sediment layers, and shifting seasons. Each layer buried in the earth told a new chapter of the planet's developing identity. The universe was writing its story long before mortals knew how to read it. From the mist of chaos emerged nameless spirits whose purpose even Gaia. Some vanished immediately, dissolving back into primordial silence. Others lingered, observing creation with the stillness of cosmic spectators. The world's earliest mountains moved like slow giants, rising and sinking with the planet's breath. These movements created fault lines, volcanic chains, and vast basins for future civilizations. Such shifting landscapes proved the Earth was not a stage, but a living participant. Even the moon had a strange infancy, still adjusting to its orbit and glowing with uneven brilliance. Its early, light-guided nocturnal creatures that would vanish long before humanity arrived. Selene, the lunar goddess, had not yet claimed it, but the moon already sensed her approaching. Across the cosmos, the first abstract forces, justice, strife, harmony, existed as drifting energies. These ethereal concepts floated freely, waiting for gods who would eventually embody them. Their presence hinted at the moral frameworks that humans would one day interpret as divine will. As the Olympians matured, they began to explore the boundaries of their world, searching for meaning. Each discovery revealed parts of the ancient tapestry woven by chaos and the earliest beings. The young gods realized their future would depend on mastering a universe far older than themselves. Yet beneath the beauty and mystery, a quiet tension grew, the sense that old powers watched from afar. Titans murmured in their confinement, Gaia listened with concern, and chaos remained unpredictable. Creation was stable, but not safe, balanced on forces older than divine ambition. The stage was nearly set, though the players had not yet taken their places. the universe waited, holding its breath between ages, anticipating a conflict that would define eternity. And in this stillness, destiny whispered its final warning: the age of the gods was only just beginning. In that wordless expanse, after chaos first stirred, the earliest forces drifted like half-formed thoughts across a cosmic sea. There was no sky yet, no solid earth, just drifting potential waiting to harden into form. Every movement felt like the universe quietly practicing how to exist. As time thickened, even chaos learned its own rhythm, pulsing out patterns that hinted at future order. These were not decisions, but natural tremors, the first whispers of a world finding structure. And from those tremors, the earliest shapes of reality began gathering strength. Night and darkness moved together like twin shadows, learning how to cast themselves across an empty canvas. They began weaving cool veils that wrapped the endless void, giving it contrast and depth. With each pass of their silent steps, the universe gained its first hint of mood. From the subtle pressure of night, the first fragile glimmers of day slowly emerged. Light didn't appear in a burst, but seeped quietly through the cracks darkness left behind. It brought clarity, soft and uncertain, as if the cosmos was opening its eyes for the first time. Meanwhile, Gaia grew more confident in her rising form, shaping herself with curves that hinted at mountains yet to come. Her presence felt like gravity, learning where to settle as she pushed chaos outward. Even without speaking, she announced herself as the first true foundation. Tartarus stretched beneath everything, pulling the youngest layers of creation downward like a deep breath. His domain wasn't sinister, yet just a necessary counterweight to Gaia's solid rising. He created depth so that the universe could begin imagining height. Eros drifted between them, moving like a warm current that encouraged pieces of creation to reach toward each other. He didn't compel, but invited, guiding the raw forces into harmony instead of conflict. Because of him, the cosmos began to grow with purpose instead of accident. As these primordial beings learned their shapes, they discovered that existence could echo. One shift in Gaia rippled through Tartarus and returned through night, creating feedback loops of energy. These echoes became the first laws of nature, quiet but consistent. Soon, the void was no longer empty, but humming with tensions, balances, and soft collisions. Each collision didn't destroy, but revealed new qualities hidden within the primordial forms. Creation was still clumsy, yet every stumble built momentum toward something greater. Gaia, feeling her growing stability, stretched outward with confidence until she touched the edges of the forming universe. Her expanding presence pressed against chaos, slowly carving out boundaries between nothing and something. This separation became the cosmos' first moment of true definition. Above her, faint outlines of the sky began to shimmer, though Uranus had not yet awakened into shape. It was simply the suggestion of height, a promise of structure waiting to be claimed. The universe was building an architecture long before it assigned names. The earliest winds, not yet born as deities, brushed lightly against Gaia's forming surface. They sketched invisible trails that hinted at movement, seasons, and breath. These delicate gestures foreshadowed the liveliness creation would soon embrace. In this early age, nothing competed and nothing ruled. Each force simply emerged because the universe allowed it. That quiet cooperation formed a rare harmony, a calmness that future ages would eventually shatter. But for now, existence unfolded with slow, deliberate wonder. And so, the stage was set, depth below, foundation in the middle, veils of light and shadow above. Creation was no longer a loose scattering of energies, but a structured tapestry with potential. The cosmos stood poised, waiting for the first divine beings, who would soon reshape everything. As Gaia settled into her vast, steady presence, subtle vibrations rippled through her growing form. These tremors weren't earthquakes, but the universe learning how to anchor itself in solidity. Each vibration helped refine the boundary between raw chaos and emerging order. Night felt these soft pulses and responded with gentle waves of shadow that curled across the forming world. Her darkness no longer masked creation, but shaped its edges with delicate precision. She became the first artist of contrast, offering depth where there had only been blur. Day followed her movements, stretching bands of faint light that glimmered over Gaia's new textures. Its glow traced the early curves of mountains and hollows that had barely taken shape. Together, night and day produced the world's first rhythm without ever speaking. From the bottomless quiet of Tartarus, slow currents of energy spiraled upward like ancient breaths. These currents acted as anchors, drawing scattered forces into meaningful alignment. Their influence gave Gaia the strength to rise taller and steadier with each passing moment. Above them, the sky continued to shimmer as an unfinished outline waiting for its identity. The forming heavens quivered like a thin membrane stretched between two different realities. It was a place eager to awaken, though still searching for the spark that would solidify it. Eros drifted through this unfinished cosmos, weaving unseen threads between distant elements. His presence softened the harsh edges of creation, encouraging harmony where it might have fractured. Under his gentle influence, the universe began to feel less mechanical and more alive. Even chaos, now pushed to the outer fringes, watched these new developments with fading intensity. It no longer dominated but lingered like a distant memory of what once was everything. Its retreat allowed the forming world to grow without dissolving back into formlessness. Gaia's expanding surface soon developed gentle contours shaped by cosmic currents flowing across her. These currents hinted at rivers, valleys, and fertile spaces long before life would claim them. The universe was carving blueprints for landscapes that would one day host legends. In the dim outer reaches, stray fragments of energy coalesced into small, wandering sparks. They drifted like fireflies, searching for a home but never finding one in the growing universe. These sparks were the earliest remnants of potential gods not yet destined to awaken. Night observed these drifting sparks and wrapped them in thin veils of shadow to keep them stable. Day followed behind, warming their edges with cautious rays to keep them from scattering. Together, they acted as caretakers of possibilities still waiting for purpose. As these forces moved in harmony, faint echoes began rising from deep within existence itself. These echoes were not sounds, but impressions, ancient murmurs, predicting the arrival of greater powers. It was as if the universe sensed the approach of beings who would one day command it. The early winds strengthened, swirling across Gaia with a newfound confidence that hinted at breath. Their movements carved soft lines across her forming surface, marking the first pathways of motion. These breezes were the earliest signs that the world could one day support movement and life. The cosmic fabric stretched wider as new pockets of space unfolded like pages in a colossal book. Each unfolding region carried untold potential, waiting silently to be discovered. Creation expanded not through force, but through quiet, inevitable unfolding. Tartarus deepened in response, sinking into greater darkness to maintain universal balance. His realm became the silent foundation that prevented the cosmos from collapsing inward. In this early age, he served as the world's first hidden pillar, supporting everything above. Through all this, Gaia began sensing a presence forming high above her, faint but undeniable. The sky's outline trembled more sharply, as if preparing to awaken from a slow-growing dream. The cosmos held its breath, knowing a new force was about to emerge. Creation had reached a turning point, the moment where stillness prepared to meet motion. All the early forces had shaped the stage, but none yet held dominion or identity. The universe waited, balanced perfectly between what it had been and what it was about to become. Tiny streams of silent energy began drifting across the forming cosmos like pale ribbons. These currents intertwined gently, creating the earliest traces of harmony in the young universe. Their movement suggested intention, though no mind yet existed to guide them. Gaia felt these soft threads brush across her surface, shaping her with quiet patience. Each brush added new texture, hints of ridges, hollows, and vast plains still unborn. The world was learning how to carry form without losing itself to chaos. Above her, the sky continued to swell with shimmering light that pulsed in slow, steady breaths. Every pulse, the heavens were no longer a suggestion, they were preparing for identity. The early winds strengthened, gathering their scattered force into purposeful motion. They spiraled upward and downward, carrying the universe's first whisper of circulation. This was the beginning of order-shaping movement instead of reacting to it. Night watched these changes with calm curiosity, spreading her darkness with gentle discipline. Her shadows divided the emerging world into regions of quiet rest and subtle mystery. Without her, the universe would have glowed endlessly, unable to pause or breathe. Day responded by pushing light carefully into the places night left untouched. His glow didn't battle her. It danced softly along the edges of her darkness. Together they crafted the cosmos's earliest balance, a rhythm older than any god. Deep within Tartarus, pressure built in slow, ancient waves that strengthened his foundation. These waves anchored the cosmos, preventing the sky and earth from collapsing inward. In this era, his existence was silent but essential, an unseen architect. Eros drifted between all these forces, guiding them into gentle cooperation. His influence ensured they blended without conflict, forming unity rather than fracture. Through him, the universe learned that creation needed connection as much as structure. In the far reaches, sparks of dormant potential began pulsing with faint, uneven glimmers. They drifted like newborn stars, practicing their first breaths of light. These sparks would one day inspire myths of beings who almost became gods. Energy gathered at the edges of the forming heavens, pressing softly against its surface. Each press made the sky more defined, as though shaping itself from the inside out. Slowly, the upper realm strengthened, preparing for a presence powerful enough to inhabit it. Meanwhile, Gaia continued to expand in graceful, deliberate layers. Mountains formed not as physical structures yet, but as ideas rising through her essence. Her entire being existed in a blueprint stage magnificent, but awaiting completion. New cosmic vibrations rippled outward, shifting the fabric of existence with subtle force. These vibrations guided early matter into gentle patterns that hinted at future laws. Gravity, motion, and time were beginning to whisper their first rules. Night sensed these whispers and wrapped them in deep quiet, giving them space to settle. Her shadows allowed the universe's new laws to stabilize without interference. What looked like darkness was actually the cosmos concentrating. Day answered by illuminating these forming rules with soft clarity. His glow highlighted each new shift, helping creation understand itself. Light and darkness became the world's first instruments of learning. Further out, swirling mists of cosmic dust collected into slow-moving clusters. They floated with no destination yet, gathering mass with patient persistence. These clusters were the primordial seeds of future celestial worlds. Gaia listened to these distant movements, feeling the universe expand beyond her presence. Though she was central, she sensed she was no longer alone in shaping creation. The cosmos was becoming a tapestry of many forces working in quiet harmony. Tartarus deepened further, extending his dark roots into the unseen depths. Each extension strengthened the universe's stability, preventing collapse. His realm became the silent counterweight to everything rising above. A subtle tension formed between the sky and Gaia, like two halves searching for completion. This tension wasn't conflict, but anticipation and instinctive pull between upper and lower realms. The cosmos waited for the moment when these realms would finally meet. Creation hovered on the edge of transformation, balanced between past stillness and future motion. All forces had taken their places, refined themselves, and shaped the early world. The universe was ready for the next great awakening, the arrival of the first gods. Gaia's form continued to solidify, gaining weight, structure, and quiet intention. Her surface developed contours that hinted at future mountains and fertile valleys. She was becoming the universe's first true body, vast, patient, and alive. As Gaia strengthened, a soft glow began forming above her in shimmering waves. This glow collected into a dome of pale radiance that expanded with purpose. What began as scattered light was preparing to take shape as something greater. The glow pulsed, contracting and widening like a breath waiting to be born. Its movements were gentle, but their rhythm showed a growing consciousness. A presence was forming that belonged not to Earth, but to the sky itself. Slowly, the radiance condensed into a vast, sweeping canopy of silver-blue light. This canopy stretched across Gaia's entire length, arching with perfect harmony. The universe had birthed its second great being, Uranus, the sky. Uranus hovered above Gaia with a presence that felt both new and eternal. His vast expanse shimmered with starlit potential, though stars had not yet formed. He was the first upper realm, the highest point of order in the young cosmos. Gaia felt his presence instantly, as though recognizing a missing counterpart. Where she was grounded, he was lifted. Where she was still, he was limitless. Their contrast created a natural pole that bound earth and sky together. This connection brought a new vibrancy to the universe, a harmony not seen before. Their union created a shared rhythm that rippled through every corner of creation. Balance, for the first time, became a tangible force rather than an accident. Uranus gazed upon Gaia with awe, sensing the potential hidden within her layers. He recognized her as the foundation upon which all life would eventually rise. In her, he saw permanence and generosity, qualities he lacked but admired. Gaia, in return, looked upward at his boundless expanse with growing affection. His sweeping skies gave her the shelter and grandeur she had been missing. Together, they shaped the universe into a place capable of supporting destiny. Their bond strengthened as cosmic energy threaded itself between them. This energy acted like a bridge, connecting sky's clarity with Earth's depth. From this connection, creation found a new burst of momentum. As their union deepened, Gaia began to stir with fertile potential. Her surface warmed with life-bearing energy that swelled beneath her plains. This was not yet life, but the promise of life, the first stirring of creation. Uranus sensed this awakening and expanded his light across her entire span. His glow nurtured her hidden power, encouraging it to rise and take form. The heavens had now become a partner in the Earth's unfolding story. From their harmony, new forces began forming within Gaia's deepest layers. These forces gained shape from her strength and inspiration from Uranus's light. The first generation of divine beings was preparing to emerge. Soft tremors traveled across Gaia's surface like gentle signals of birth. She channeled the universe's young laws into the shapes growing inside her. Creation was becoming active, intentional, and unstoppable. Uranus listened to these tremors with a sense of rising anticipation. He felt the future within them, beings who would shape the universe further. For the first time, even the sky felt something close to excitement. Within Gaia, glowing forms began gathering into clusters of powerful essence. Each cluster grew distinct qualities: strength, foresight, emotion, and force. These were the earliest seeds of the Titans, forming in complete silence. The cosmos watched as Gaia prepared to release the first true gods. Her energy swelled in radiant waves that echoed across the heavens. Uranus steadied the sky to keep balance as creation intensified below. With a final surge, Gaia released her first children into the emerging world. The Titans arrived in shimmering shapes that glowed with youthful power. Their birth marked the beginning of divine lineage that would rule the cosmos. Uranus embraced them with his celestial light, proud yet overwhelmed. He saw within them the potential to expand creation beyond anything imagined. These beings were the universe's first architects of destiny. Gaia welcomed them with warmth, treating them as extensions of her own soul. She trusted they would shape the world with purpose and strength. Through them, she found the future she had been quietly preparing for. Together, Gaia and Uranus stood as the universe's first divine parents. Their union created harmony, their children brought possibility, and the age of gods had finally begun. Gaia's body shivered with anticipation as new energies pooled beneath her surface. She had birthed the Titans, but her potential was far from exhausted. Each pulse carried the promise of more complex beings yet to take shape. Uranus, ever watchful, arched across the cosmos, his expanse growing more defined. His light illuminated the first valleys and mountains that Gaia had shaped. Together, they were refining the young universe with subtle cosmic artistry. The Titans stirred under Gaia's nurturing presence, sensing the sky's protective gaze. Their awareness was nascent, but even then, sparks of curiosity flickered within them. They were born strong, yet untested, and the universe watched silently. From their union's energy, new patterns of creation began emerging along Gaia's surface. Rivers of potential flowed from hidden crevices, shaping landscapes. The sky above refracted these energies into gentle glows across the newborn lands. Uranus's vast form seemed to breathe in tandem with Gaia's pulse. He was more than a canopy. He was a guiding framework for future events. The Titans felt this harmony, learning balance even before they had names. Slowly, Gaia began to weave the first threads of destiny through the Titans' essence. She imbued them with strength, foresight, and creativity, gifts of the earth itself. These qualities would define their roles in the grand saga of gods and humans. Uranus's presence encouraged them to reach upward, yearning for the skies. He stretched endlessly, a luminous reminder of potential beyond the solid earth. The Titans began to imagine realms they had never yet seen, driven by curiosity. The rhythm between Gaia and Uranus set the stage for cosmic laws to emerge. Gravity, movement, and time became subtle, almost imperceptible frameworks. Even the Titans felt the pull of these invisible rules shaping their early actions. As ages passed in mythic measure, Gaia and Uranus' influence solidified. Their harmony created stability. Yet an undercurrent of tension began to stir. This tension, though gentle, would eventually shape conflicts among divine beings. The Titans, sensing both safety and restriction, began testing their strength. They stretched, pushed, and experimented with powers given to them at birth. Each movement of theirs echoed the vast dance of Gaia and Uranus above. Uranus noticed some Titans reaching too far, their energy brushing against the cosmos. He tempered their exploration with restraint, a first lesson in balance and consequence. The sky and earth had become teachers to the very beings meant to shape the world. Gaia, in turn, nurtured their growth while embedding subtle challenges beneath her surface. Hidden crevices, deep caves, and winding rivers became their playgrounds and tests. Through trial and adaptation, the Titans learned the intricacies of creation's foundation. The first divine conflicts began subtly as the Titans pushed against boundaries set by Gaia. Uranus observed, knowing that tension was a necessary companion to growth. Even in these quiet struggles, the universe itself was learning order and chaos. Through these early interactions, Gaia and Uranus' partnership matured further. Each parent understood the delicate balance between freedom and control. Their guidance, though silent, shaped the universe's first lessons in governance. From their union, the cycles of day, night, and seasons slowly emerged. Uranus' light and Gaia's surface created rhythms that would govern all life. These cycles became the foundation of time as mortals and gods would later understand it. The Titans, now conscious of the forces surrounding them, began to imagine power. They saw the potential of shaping rivers, mountains, and even the skies above. Gaia and Uranus watched, knowing the seeds of ambition had quietly taken root. A profound understanding settled between earth and sky, a tacit contract of creation. Harmony existed, but so did the inevitability of change and conflict to come. The stage was set for the next chapter, the age of divine politics and Titan rivalries. The union of Gaia and Uranus, though still serene, hinted at challenges yet unseen. Their balance had created life, order, and possibility, but also the potential for discord. The universe was alive, dynamic, and now ready to enter a more turbulent phase. The Titans, sensing the depth of Gaia's wisdom, began experimenting with their powers. They shaped small hills and carved winding valleys, testing what they could command. Each creation echoed Gaia's nurturing touch, yet carried a spark of their own identity. Uranus observed these attempts with a quiet, measured light, guiding without interference. His vastness was a reminder of the limits of power and of the cosmic order at play. Even in this early stage, lessons of respect and restraint began to take hold. The earth trembled subtly as younger Titans stretched their abilities, exploring boundaries. Mountains rose slightly taller, rivers carved deeper paths, as if echoing their ambition. Gaia's laughter, a rumble beneath the surface, encouraged growth but warned against excess. Through this experimentation, the Titans discovered the principles of balance in creation. They realized that shaping the world required both strength and careful intention. Mistakes were often instructive, leaving scars that marked lessons for future generations. Uranus' light cast shadows that formed the first valleys and forests of the world. He revealed that contrast and opposition were necessary to define beauty and order. The Titans began understanding that not all power was meant to dominate, some was to harmonize. The early interactions between earth and sky also awakened curiosity about the unknown. The Titans gazed beyond mountains and rivers, imagining realms that had yet to exist. This longing for exploration would eventually lead to conflicts and alliances alike. Gaia, sensing the stirrings of ambition, embedded hidden challenges within her form. Caves, cliffs, and deep forests became sites of trial and learning for the young deities. The Titan's growth was thus intertwined with patience, endurance, and discovery. Uranus's role as a distant guide taught the Titans about patience and timing. Not every action yielded immediate result, and not every choice was without consequence. These early lessons formed the ethical and cosmic framework of the mythic universe. The first subtle tensions arose as Titans began comparing powers and creations. Jealousy and pride were nascent, yet already shaping the social hierarchy among them. Gaia and Uranus watched, knowing that these small conflicts would seed future myths. Through these dynamics, the natural cycles of life were mirrored in divine behavior. Rivers eroded, seasons shifted, and storms arose, lessons for the young immortals. The Titans learned that change was inevitable, and adaptability a crucial strength. Gaia continued to nurture, while Uranus maintained vigilance, a duality of support and restraint. This balance between freedom and oversight created the universe's first governance structure. Even in tranquility, the stage for future dramatic confrontations was quietly set. From these early lessons, the Titans began to assign roles to themselves within creation. Some shaped the mountains, others guided rivers, while a few tested the sky's limits. Division of labor and specialization became evident, hinting at the structure of divine hierarchy. Uranus' occasional interference reminded the Titans that unchecked ambition could be dangerous. He demonstrated that even gods must respect the rules of the cosmos, a lesson of humility. These subtle interventions prevented chaos while fostering growth and creativity. Gaia's nurturing energy continued to pulse, giving life to forests, valleys, and plains. The Titans, now more confident, began experimenting with larger and more complex landscapes. Each act of creation was a rehearsal for the roles they would assume in the world of mortals. The union of earth and sky, now more intricate, reflected both harmony and latent tension. Their combined influence molded not just physical landscapes, but moral and ethical frameworks. Even minor disputes among the Titans were lessons in responsibility and foresight. A deeper understanding emerged. Power without guidance could lead to destruction. The Titans recognized the necessity of balance between strength and wisdom, action and patience. This principle would underpin countless myths and conflicts in the ages to come. The first glimpses of generational struggle appeared as elder Titans observed younger ones. Lessons passed from parent to child, though subtly, through demonstration rather than speech. These interactions foreshadowed the later violent clashes that would define the Titanomachy. Uranus and Gaia, through their duality of light and nurture, established cosmic rhythm. Cycles of creation, growth, and subtle destruction became integral to the universe's order. Every heartbeat of earth and every breath of sky taught the Titans about consequence and time. The Titans began internalizing these lessons, understanding their responsibilities toward creation. They saw that every mountain, river, and valley was not merely material, but a symbol. Symbolic understanding deepened their awareness of fate, destiny, and the universe's patterns. As eons passed in this mythic measure, tensions continued to simmer beneath harmony. Ambition, curiosity, and the need for recognition became driving forces among the young gods. The universe, though orderly, was on the cusp of upheaval, the quiet before the cosmic storm. Even in their earliest days, the Titans' personalities became distinct, foreshadowing alliances and rivalries. Some were cautious and wise, others bold and reckless, each shaped by the lessons of earth and sky. Gaia and Uranus' influence was subtle yet profound, creating the framework for the divine drama ahead. The interaction between nurturing and restraint, freedom and oversight, defined the young universe. It was a delicate balance that maintained order while allowing growth, experimentation, and learning. This balance would soon be tested as the first conflicts among the Titans emerged. The Titans, having learned from early experiments, began to explore more daring creations. They sculpted forests so dense that sunlight barely touched the ground below. Each new landscape tested their patience, creativity, and respect for Gaia's guidance. Uranus' vast expanse reflected the limits of possibility, reminding Titans of restraint. He rarely intervened directly, but his presence created natural boundaries the young gods could not cross. This silent oversight became a formative lesson in self-control and cosmic order. As the Titans experimented, small life forms began to emerge from Gaia's nurturing essence. The first plants took root, and insects buzzed through early meadows, unseen by most eyes. These tiny lives were proof that even the smallest beings could shape the unfolding universe. Conflicts of pride subtly emerged among the Titans as they compared their creations. Who could craft the tallest mountain? Who could carve the deepest river? These rivalries hinted at the dynamics that would later erupt in full-scale battles. Gaia, sensing the stirrings of jealousy, embedded moral lessons in the land itself. Treacherous cliffs and hidden quicksands tested the judgment of overconfident deities. Through these trials, wisdom began to temper their raw ambition and unchecked power. The Titans began to experiment with the sky, shaping clouds. Each attempt taught them about balance. Too much storm brought chaos. Too little left the world barren. Even minor miscalculations revealed the delicate equilibrium between creation and destruction. Uranus occasionally sent meteoric sparks across the firmament, teaching awe and caution. These celestial events reminded the Titans that even gods were subject to greater forces. Respect for limits and the unseen became a core lesson for the young immortals. Some Titans began exploring collaboration, combining powers to achieve greater feats. Rivers were rerouted to nourish forests. Mountains were softened to create fertile valleys. Through teamwork, they realized that unity often created wonders far beyond individual effort. But tension simmered beneath cooperation, as personal pride still demanded recognition. Each Titan wanted their creation to stand out as a testament to their unique abilities. This quiet competition ensured that the cosmic stage remained dynamic and unpredictable. Gaia, as ever, observed and nurtured, weaving lessons into every hill and valley. Her guidance was gentle but persistent, shaping the Titans' moral and ethical understanding. Even in their experiments, they began to internalize the responsibilities that power demanded. Uranus' distant light highlighted the passage of time and the inevitability of consequence. The young Titans understood that creation was not instantaneous. Patience was essential. Mistakes became instructive, scars on the landscape serving as enduring reminders of The natural rhythms of the world emerged from their interplay of freedom and oversight. Day and night, storm and calm, growth and decay were mirrored in the Titans' early behaviors. Through these cycles, they gained insight into balance, timing, and the consequences of action. With each passing age, the Titans became more conscious of hierarchy and order. Some assumed roles as stewards of mountains, others as custodians of rivers and forests. This specialization hinted at the social structure that would dominate future myths and conflicts. Even minor disputes reflected the universe's principles: cause and effect, reward and punishment. A poorly placed mountain could flood valleys. A misdirected river could wither a forest. Through these trials, the Titans' understanding of responsibility deepened steadily. As time flowed, the Titans developed unique identities and personal domains. Some were methodical and deliberate, others daring and impulsive, each contributing to cosmic diversity. These personalities would later influence allegiances, betrayals, and the ultimate titanomachy. Gaia's nurturing presence and Uranus' guiding light created a duality that defined early creation. Freedom paired with guidance, strength tempered by restraint, set the foundation for the cosmos. The universe, still young, now carried the seeds of order, conflict, and destiny intertwined. Small rebellions emerged as some titans tested boundaries, challenging both earth and sky. These early acts of defiance hinted at the dramatic upheavals that would soon reshape creation. Yet every rebellion taught lessons, reminding even the boldest that unchecked ambition carried risk. The interactions between titans and their world established the patterns of life, morality, and fate. Mountains, rivers, forests, and skies became not only material reality, but moral landscapes. Every creation and misstep contributed to the universe's evolving story, rich with consequence. Through collaboration, conflict, guidance, and defiance, the Titans' understanding deepened. The young gods learned that power was both a gift and a responsibility, never to be taken lightly. The stage was now set for the coming generations, where ambition and fate would collide dramatically. The early Titans began to sense that the cosmos needed structure beyond simple creation. Some experimented with seasons, attempting to regulate growth, decay, and renewal. Through trial and error, they discovered that time itself could be shaped to nurture life. Uranus watched silently, his presence a constant reminder of boundaries and unseen laws. Whenever a Titan overstepped, minor catastrophes occurred, teaching humility and caution. Even the boldest learned that defiance came at a price. However small at first, Gaia encouraged observation, urging Titans to notice patterns in storms, tides, and celestial movements. They began to understand the cause and effect relationships that governed both mortal and immortal realms. This knowledge laid the groundwork for the later wisdom of the Olympians. The interplay of light and shadow became a focus of experimentation for certain Titans. They discovered that balance between extremes created harmony, while excess led to chaos. These early lessons influenced the mythological principles of justice, moderation, and fate. Some Titans experimented with animal life, shaping forms to inhabit forests, rivers, and skies. Creatures were not only practical experiments, but symbolic embodiments of power and strategy. Predators and prey, flyers and burrowers, all contributed to a balanced, functioning world. Uranus occasionally intervened with subtle shifts in the heavens, reminding Titans of cosmic limits. Meteors streaked across the sky, storms erupted unexpectedly, and the ground trembled slightly. These events were warnings and lessons, demonstrating that the universe was alive with rules. Gaia's voice, soft yet firm, guided the Titans through disputes and disagreements. She emphasized that creation without consideration of consequences was dangerous and unsustainable. The moral framework of early mythology began forming through these interactions. Jealousies and rivalries sometimes flared as each Titan sought recognition for their innovations. Yet cooperation often triumphed, especially when complex tasks required combined effort. Through this, they learned the value of unity alongside individual excellence. Some Titans began experimenting with mortal-like consciousness within plants and animals. They observed instincts, adaptation, and early forms of problem-solving in creatures. This experimentation foreshadowed the creation of humans and their place within the cosmos. Uranus, while distant, set the standard for authority and consequence, enforcing a natural order. Those Titans who ignored these boundaries faced failure, accidents, or even temporary banishment. Through these trials, Respect for hierarchy and law became ingrained in early divine culture. Gaia nurtured the rivers, mountains, and forests, embedding lessons of patience and stewardship. Young Titans observed that every act of creation could ripple through the ecosystem unpredictably. This reinforced the idea that power required responsibility, foresight, and reverence. As patterns emerged, the Titans became aware of potential rebellion and dissent among themselves. The seeds of future conflicts were quietly planted in these early experiments with authority and power. Small acts of defiance hinted at larger struggles that would define mythological history. Time passed, and the Titans' personalities solidified, each assuming dominion over specific domains. One might oversee oceans, another mountains, another the winds or storms, each with pride and purpose. This division of responsibilities created order, but also potential for competition and envy. Uranus' distant light illuminated the passage of events, marking cycles of trial and triumph. The Titans began recording lessons through symbols, stories, and early rites to honor Gaia. These rituals foreshadowed the complex religious systems of later human civilizations. The natural world became both a playground and a testing ground for the Titans' creativity. Forests, rivers, and mountains were living lessons in cause, effect, and the fragility of balance. Each success and failure contributed to their understanding of cosmic and moral law. Gaia and Uranus maintained a delicate tension, combining freedom and restraint in perfect balance. The Titans were given liberty to experiment, but were never allowed to ignore the consequences entirely. This duality shaped the ethical and operational framework of all future mythological narratives. The Titans' early creations bore both beauty and danger, reflecting the duality of existence. Storms could nourish or destroy, rivers could sustain or flood, forests could shelter or trap. This complexity prepared the universe for the inevitable arrival of conflict and moral tests. Small rebellions grew bolder as ambitious Titans tested boundaries and questioned authority. Some acts of defiance were subtle, others more daring, shaping early political dynamics among gods. These challenges would ultimately culminate in the dramatic Titanomachy that defined mythic history. Gaia and Uranus' guidance ensured that lessons were internalized even as mistakes were made. The Titans learned that power, creativity, and influence demanded discipline, foresight, and respect. Their early trials set the stage for the generational conflicts that would follow among gods and Titans. The universe, though young, was now filled with life, structure, and emerging moral complexity. The stage was set for Cronus' rise, Uranus' eventual overthrow, and the succession of divine power. All early experiments, both triumphant and failed, were shaping the destiny of the cosmos. Cronus, the youngest Titan, grew restless under Uranus' oppressive rule. He plotted in secret, encouraged by Gaia's whispers of rebellion and destiny. The tension among Titans was palpable, a quiet storm ready to break. Using a sickle forged by Gaia, Cronus confronted his father, Uranus. The act was violent yet decisive, severing Uranus' control over the cosmos. This marked the first major power shift in mythological history. Blood spilled upon the earth, giving rise to strange creatures and spirits. Furies, giants, and otherworldly beings emerged, embodiments of chaos and vengeance. even in triumph, the universe was now forever marked by turmoil. Cronus assumed leadership of the Titans, yet unease lingered in his heart. He had overthrown his father, but prophecy warned that his own child would do the same. Fear of betrayal shaped his rule, guiding his actions with harsh caution. He devoured each of his offspring at birth, hoping to prevent the foretold revolt. Rhea, his wife, anguished silently, watching the cycle of violence repeat. The cosmos trembled, as even the divine could not escape fate's heavy hand. Eventually, Rhea deceived Cronus, saving Zeus by hiding him in Crete. Raised in secret, Zeus grew strong and cunning, learning of his father's tyranny. This act of defiance set the stage for the coming battle between Titans and Olympians. Zeus returned to confront Cronus, armed with allies among his siblings. The Olympians rallied, fueled by resentment and a desire for justice against the old order. The stage was set for the epic Titanomachy, a 10-year war of gods and titans. The battle raged across earth, sea, and sky, shaking mountains and splitting oceans. Weapons of unimaginable power clashed, and both sides suffered grievous losses. Victory seemed uncertain as chaos and destruction became the currency of war. Zeus' strategy combined cunning, alliances, and divine power to gradually overwhelm the Titans. Prometheus and other loyal Titans provided crucial support, tipping the scales in favor of the Olympians. The wisdom of Zeus, tempered by Rhea's protection, proved decisive. At last, the Titans were defeated, imprisoned in Tartarus, a deep abyss of eternal punishment. The new order emerged, with Zeus as ruler, establishing laws and domains for the Olympians. Cosmic balance was restored, but the scars of rebellion remained etched across creation. The Olympians divided the world among themselves, claiming sky, sea, and earth. Poseidon ruled the oceans, Hades the underworld, and Zeus the heavens and mortals above. This division reflected both power and responsibility, ensuring a new era of governance. Though victorious, the Olympians inherited the lessons of their predecessors' mistakes. They learned the value of foresight, justice, and the consequences of unchecked ambition. These lessons shaped the myths, guiding moral understanding for generations to come. From the chaos of the Titanomachy emerged the foundation of Greek religion and culture. Temples, rituals, and myths commemorated these events, preserving knowledge for mortals. Through storytelling, humanity absorbed lessons about power, fate, and divine justice. Even today, the stories of Cronus, Zeus, and the Titans endure. Influencing literature and art, they remind us of the cyclical nature of power, the inevitability of change, and the weight of destiny. Greek mythology became not just tales of gods, but a mirror of human ambition and frailty. After the Titans' defeat, Zeus began consolidating power among the Olympians. He recognized the need to establish order, dividing responsibilities to prevent chaos. Each god assumed domains, ensuring the world was governed with divine structure. Poseidon claimed the oceans, wielding his trident to control storms and earthquakes. Hades took the underworld, ruling over the dead with impartiality and stern justice. Zeus, as king of the gods, presided over the heavens and maintained balance among them. The defeated Titans were bound in Tartarus with unbreakable chains and guarded eternally. Their fall served as a reminder of the consequences of ambition without wisdom. Even immortals could be punished, teaching fear and respect among future generations. Prometheus, though a Titan, aligned with Zeus and the Olympians, aiding their victory. In gratitude and fear of his cleverness, Zeus initially spared him, yet tensions brewed. Prometheus' foresight would later challenge Zeus, shaping stories of rebellion and defiance. As the Olympians settled into their domains, mortals began to take notice of their influence. Temples were constructed and rituals performed to honor the new divine order. Worship became a bridge between humanity and the once turbulent cosmos of gods. Athena, born fully armed from Zeus' head, became a symbol of wisdom and strategy. Her presence reminded both gods and humans that intelligence could match raw power. Cities would later dedicate temples and festivals in her honor, celebrating cunning and courage. Apollo and Artemis, twins of Zeus, brought light, music, and the hunt to the mortal realm. Apollo's guidance in medicine, prophecy, and arts shaped the early development of civilization. Artemis, protector of the wild and young, balanced his influence with nurturing vigilance. Hephaestus, god of fire and craftsmanship, created weapons and tools to maintain Olympus. His inventions ensured that the Olympians remained prepared against any threat, divine or mortal. The ingenuity of the gods now rivaled that of any ancient mortal craft, linking myth with human progress. The Titanomachy left lasting scars even in the heavens, a reminder of past conflicts. Echoes of the war were visible in myths of lightning, earthquakes, and celestial upheaval. The universe was forever shaped by this cataclysm, embedding tension into the natural world. Zeus' rule emphasized both justice and caution, wary of repeating the mistakes of Cronus. Rebellions and betrayals were punished, yet mercy was sometimes extended for loyalty. The Olympians' governance blended power, foresight, and lessons inherited from the Titans. The myth of the Titanomachy also explained natural phenomena, linking human observation to story. Storms were thought to be Poseidon's wrath, volcanic eruptions were Hephaestus' forge, and fate guided mortals. These narratives provided both understanding and entertainment, anchoring culture in divine context. The victories and conflicts of the Titanomachy echoed in later myths, forming the foundation of Greek religion. Heroes, monsters, and mortal struggles were framed against this backdrop of divine war. The Olympians' supremacy provided structure, morality, and examples of both virtue and hubris. Over time, mortals began to record these stories, preserving them in poems, art, and theater. Hesiod's Theogony captured the genealogy of gods, while Homer chronicled interactions with heroes. Through these works, the lessons of power, loyalty, and cosmic order were transmitted across generations. Even today, the Titanomachy continues to inspire, symbolizing struggle, strategy, and the rise of order from chaos. Its themes echo in literature, film, and philosophy, reminding us of the origins of mythic imagination. The Olympians' triumph over the Titans remains a timeless testament to ambition, intelligence, and resilience. The aftermath of the Titanomachy saw the Olympians establishing permanent homes on Mount Olympus. Their palace became both a seat of power and a symbol of divine civilization. Rituals, feasts, and councils were held there, shaping the order of the cosmos. Zeus ensured that the younger gods understood the responsibilities of authority. He emphasized the importance of balance, diplomacy, and foresight to avoid chaos. Each Olympian began mastering their domain, blending natural forces with moral oversight. Hera, as queen of the gods, oversaw marriage, family, and the stability of Olympus. Her influence extended to mortals, shaping societal norms and divine justice. Her presence ensured that the power of the gods was tempered by wisdom and authority. The Titans, though imprisoned, continued to impact the mortal world indirectly. Stories of their strength and defiance inspired cautionary tales for both gods and humans. Their legacy remained a lesson that power without restraint can lead to downfall. Demeter, goddess of agriculture, began teaching mortals how to cultivate the earth. Her guidance allowed humans to survive and prosper, linking divine favor to practical skills. The harvest became sacred, with rituals ensuring gratitude and respect for the gods. Ares, god of war, embodied conflict and strategy, both terrifying and necessary. Mortals invoked him for courage in battle, while Olympians consulted him on divine disputes. His presence reminded both gods and humans of the dual nature of strength and destruction. Hermes, the clever messenger, facilitated communication among gods and mortals. He became a symbol of ingenuity, commerce, and movement, bridging realms with ease. Through him, divine intervention could be swift, subtle, or even mischievous. Hestia, guardian of the hearth, kept the flame of civilization burning across Olympus and Earth. Her protection ensured continuity, family unity, and the sacredness of home life. The hearth became a metaphor for stability amid the turbulence of divine politics. The Olympians also dealt with lingering rivalries among themselves, preventing rebellion. Disputes were resolved through negotiation, contests, or, when necessary, displays of power. Their interactions highlighted lessons in leadership, diplomacy, and the consequences of pride. Hephaestus' forge became central to both Olympus and the mortal realm. He crafted weapons, tools, and marvels that reflected divine skill and human inspiration. Through his creations, the gods demonstrated that creativity and utility were intertwined. The Titanomachy's lessons echoed in myths of mortals who challenged gods or fate. Prometheus' theft of fire, for instance, mirrored earlier defiance against cosmic authority. These stories reinforced moral and practical teachings while preserving ancient memory. Poseidon's dominion over seas and earthquakes shaped human respect for nature. Sailors and coastal civilizations offered tributes, seeking favor and survival. The oceans became both a source of life and a reminder of divine omnipotence. The Olympians' governance established a model of cosmic order that humans mirrored. Cities, laws, and temples reflected divine hierarchy, blending belief with civic organization. Through this lens, mythology became a tool for explaining natural phenomena and social rules. Even after the Titanomachy alliances formed between gods and heroes for further adventures. These alliances reinforced lessons of loyalty, strategy, and the complex interplay of fate. The stories of Hercules, Perseus, and others continued to evolve from this divine foundation. The Titanomachy was not merely a battle. It was a transformation of the universe itself. Chaos gave way to structure, raw power to governed authority, and conflict to hierarchy. Its impact resonated through myths, rituals, and cultural memory for millennia. Through the rise of the Olympians, the Greeks explained the origins of natural forces and human experience. Storms, seasons, the cycle of life and death, and morality were all intertwined with divine will. The myths became a living narrative, guiding, warning, and inspiring generations of mortals. Even today, the Titanomachy informs literature, art, and philosophy, highlighting timeless struggles. It symbolizes the tension between rebellion and order, strength and wisdom, chaos and civilization. Its stories remain an enduring testament to human imagination shaped by divine myth. The rise of the Olympians marked the beginning of a new era in Greek myth. Their stories shaped how humans understood the natural world and their own destinies. From lightning bolts to the harvest, divine influence was everywhere. Myths of gods, titans, and heroes became more than entertainment, they were lessons. They explained the mysteries of life, taught morality, and justified the world's order. Through them, humans found meaning in triumph, tragedy, and the cycles of nature. Even as mortals lived and died, the Olympians' influence endured across generations. Temples, rituals, and festivals preserved their power in stone, song, and story. The gods were eternal, but their lessons became the blueprint of human civilization. The Titanomachy, the rise of the Olympians, and the tales of heroes remain timeless. They continue to inspire art, literature, and thought, shaping cultures far beyond Greece. Through mythology, the past converses with the present, whispering truths in every tale. As we reflect on these stories, it's clear that Greek mythology is more than imagination. It is humanity's attempt to understand itself, the world, and the forces that govern both. And in every thunderclap, in every ripple of the sea, the echoes of Olympus still remain. The next time you ponder fate, justice, or the forces of nature, remember these myths. They are not just stories, they are the earliest lessons of survival, power, and consequence. In every legend lies a reflection of the human heart, eternal and unchanging. So, as we close this journey through Greek mythology, consider what it teaches today. Even millennia later, the struggles, wisdom, and folly of gods guide our own understanding. The tales of Olympus are a mirror, showing us the wonders and dangers of ambition, courage, and curiosity. And now, as the stories settle and the echoes fade, take a moment to imagine Olympus. The gods still watch, the heroes still act, and the lessons remain, quietly shaping our world. Greek mythology, in all its grandeur and complexity, is a testament to human imagination itself.